Welcome back. In this video we are going to set up this screen here. As you can see, this Projet Manage Let's Get Started screen where you can either sign in or sign up. And yeah, that's basically just to introduce the user to what the app is for. So you can see this project manager just posting stuff on the wall. So it's pretty minimalist interface that we're going to use, and it's a project management tool. So let's go ahead and build this interface. Of course, you can go ahead and try to do that yourself. You will of course need this image, and as you can see, this button here is also a slight gradient color here, which is also pretty neat, I think. So let's go ahead and build that. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is to create a new activity. So let's go ahead to File, New, Empty Activity, and I'm going to call this one an Intro Activity. Then let's go over to the manifest to adjust the activity directly here. So our intro activity should have the same orientation and no action bar theme as our splash activity has. Then, as we're going to use different colors as the default colors, we can go to our values and colors XML. And here the colors that I'm going to use are this color here, 0C90F1 and 0591F8. So even though the primary color and exit color are the same, we're going to use them as such. Okay. And then while we're at it, let's also add the text color. So I want to use specific text colors. I'm going to use the primary text color, which is going to be this dark gray, and then the secondary text color, which is going to be this lighter gray. All right, so these are the values here. Of course, you can use your own colors if you want to. All right, now let's go ahead and prepare the button, because we're going to use the buttons, right? And you can see that they are with this gradient, or at least this one has a gradient. Okay, so let's design this real quick. Therefore, we can go to our drawable, and here we can go ahead and create a new drawable resource file. And this one is going to be called shape button rounded. And the root element will be that it's a shape. So I'm just going to use shape here. Let's press OK. Now the idea is that this button should be a rectangular button, right? So let's go ahead and add this shape here being rectangle. All right, and then as I said, this is a gradient color, right? So let's make it gradient. Therefore, we can use this gradient property here and assign certain values to it. For example, we can assign the angle, which will be 360 degrees, then the end color, which will be #0 A80 F5, and the start color, and probably I should have done it the other way around, so here's going to be 0BCCEB. Okay, and of course don't forget the hash at the beginning, otherwise you're going to get an error. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way around. Now the type of the gradient, and there are different types. You can see radial, linear, sweep. You can play around with those values and just see the difference, how they will look like. Okay, so I'm just going to use linear here, and you can see this is going to be the shape that we get right now. So this linear color. Of course, if you use another option here, let's say radial, you will see, well, you don't see much difference, I think, but just play around with those values and see what you prefer. And then I want to have corners for this gradient. Okay, so for now it doesn't have any radius or any corners, and I'm just gonna say let's add corners with a radius of 10 density pixels. Okay, so now it's gonna have this corner here, as you can see. So this color, or this gradient color, pretty much will just be put into the button. So whatever size we give for the button, it will adjust accordingly. It will not be this exact size as you can see here. It's just going to use this gradient color that we have here. And then of course I also need a white color or white border for this button here at the bottom. And how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to paste it into the project and walk over it real quick. So I called this one white border shape button rounded. and that's what it is. So it's just a shape again. So here you can see it's this new XML file. It's a shape again, which is rectangular. Then we have a stroke, which is this blue color, which is this stroke around the button. And then white is the solid background. And then we have corners of 10 density pixels so that we have the same rounded corner as we have for the other button. All right. All right, now let's design the intro activity intro XML. And here I'm just gonna paste it in again because we have designed so many different designs before, right? I think there's not much use for you to watch me type all of that in. Basically, what we have is a text view, then we have an image view underneath that text view, then another text view, one more text view, and then our two buttons. Okay, so basically it's this design here. So text view, image view, text view, another text view, and the two buttons. Of course, we need strings and dimensions here for all of those buttons. So let's go ahead and assign those as well. And of course, if you want to build this manually all by yourself, feel free to do so. And yeah, you can of course go ahead and use the same dimensions as I did if you want to have the same or exact same style. So I'm just gonna paste the dimensions in here. As you can see, we're using many dimensions here: splash screen, title, size, and so forth. So many different dimensions. If you want to type them all in, you can do so. Okay, but I think it just makes sense to paste it in here. If you want to dig deep into creating XML files, then check out one of the earlier chapters where we build applications, where we really went deeper into that, okay? Because I think at this point it's just, yeah, holding you back from learning new things if we would go through this in depth. Okay, so these are the dimensions. We had the colors already. Now let's also add the texts. So here in our string XML, let's go ahead and create the new strings. And in our case, it's just a couple of texts, the button names and so forth. So let's add those in here. The thing is, if you add them here, it allows you to make your app global, right? So to distribute it globally with multiple different languages. Okay, so here, collaborate and plan together across multiple devices on Projemax minimal interface. Okay, so that's the intro text description. Then we have the image content description, which is just image. Let's get started, text, sign in and sign up. And by the way, feel free to download this XML file and look into it. All right, so then there are only two things missing for this to work correctly. Is one, the background, and the other one is this little image that we have here. So let's import those as well. And well, at this point, I think it makes sense to import the images in the right format, because before I just imported this one splash background PNG, but it's one for all sizes, even though I would like to have one, as you can see here, yeah, for the different screen sizes. So let's drag the different images into our resources folder. So let's go ahead and open that in Explorer. And then here inside of the resources folder, you will see the drawable and drawable v24. And then open up the project that you can download that is assigned to this video, and take all of those drawable folders here, HDPI up to XX HDPI, and paste them in here. So you can replace this one IC launcher. All right, and then at that point you will find the drawables in here as well. So it's going to reload, and you can see now we have the different images here, even though this v2 or v24 is probably not going to be necessary, so we can get rid of that. And then it says here, delete alternative resource files for other configurations. No, and I'm just gonna delete that one image because they all have the same name, right? Okay. And now we have the different images, right? The background, the task image, the intro background. So all of them with the different sizes, because if you look at it, so here, this is the LDPI. Then here, look at these numbers here, right? 360 times 640. This is for the XHDPI, so 720p. This screen displays, this one for 1080, and this one for WQHD. Okay. All right, now let's go over to our intro activity and do the same thing as we did with the splash activity regarding the flags. So I'm just gonna add this as well here, and actually this should go into the onCreate method. So here we're setting the flags. We need to import the window manager, and then what I want to do is I want to move over from the splash activity to the intro activity, and that is where we finally have something new that we learn, and that is really to move from one screen to another after a certain amount of time. Okay, and in order to get that, we can use a handler. So let me show you how to do that. You go ahead and use the handler, and you use his method called postDelete, and then you need to import handler, of course, and here the Android OS handler. And then you can just say after which time you want to run something. So here the delay in milliseconds. So for example, after 2500 milliseconds, I want to start an intent. So here, start activity with an intent, which goes from this activity to the other activity, which is our intro activity. Okay, so we need to import intent, Alt Enter, and then intro activity class.java. Okay, so this way we move over, and then I also want to finish this activity. So the user should not be able to come back to the splash activity when he presses the back button. Okay, so by applying finish, this activity, the splash activity, will be fully closed. All right, so let's restart the application and see if we get to this screen here in our own version, so in our own project. All right, so there we are, Project Manage. And after 2.5 seconds, it went over to this screen, and we can see we have our sign in and sign up buttons. All right, so that is it for now. I think it's a good start, and we of course now need to go to the next steps here. As you can see, we still haven't used anything with databases and everything. So this is going to be super, super interesting in the next few videos. So see you there.